Welcome to the People of Portland and Beyond, episode 14. Today in studio with me is the When We Met band. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is Bryan from When We Met.
And I'm Melissa from When We Met.
Speaking of that, how did you come up with the origin of the name?
Well, it was actually very difficult because we were trying to figure out what was legit, so we do web searches. We came up with like 300 different band names, and all these different band names were taken, and maybe like 10 or 20 bands would have the same exact name. And we'd be like, well, we don't want to do that. We don't want to be one of those bands that's like, oh, let's come up with this name because it sounds cool. And then all of a sudden find out that everyone else has that same name. So we did our thorough research, and we were stumped for a long time. And then Melissa asked me.
Well, I was really frustrated. And I said, well, just think about something from like When We Met. And Bryan goes, yeah, that's great. Okay. I had no idea what he was talking about. And it's like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, I'm just done with this. And then When We Met was born. So it's not like this lovely romance.
I'm like, no, that's it. Like, right when she said When We Met, I'm like, there's something about that. I'm like, I like the ring of that. That sounds great.
We were trying to think about things from the night that we met, because we met at a show. We're at the Wonder Ballroom. Like, a lot of cool things and interesting things happened that night that brought us together. So I thought in that whole scenario, maybe we'd think of something. But yeah, When We Met just stuck and nobody else had it. So, and we like the little WWM that we've had fun doing graphics for. And because sometimes I think both of us get concerned about the name sounding kind of cutesy and getting booked maybe a little bit inappropriately. But how do you know what a band is from their name anyway? You know?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, so we tried to do the WWM looking a little bit more hardcore. So we're like, no, we are rock and roll. Like, we're not, but yeah, it's been fun.
Did you guys meet around April 2015? Before then? Because that's the first Instagram I see.
We actually met on my cousin Rachel's birthday. That she recently just passed away, and that's been really rough.
That was October.
But it's October 8th is her birthday, and that was the night of the concert.
But what year was it that we met?
So it was, let's see, 2010.
Yeah, but we didn't start making music for a while.
It was 2010, but we were both busy with different things going on in our lives. Like Melissa was going to school at for her music degree. And I was working a lot out of town too, doing construction. And then finally, once she finished up her degree, and I was still stuck out of town, and she's like, you know what? This job isn't working for you. We need to play music together. Because it's not working for her or for me either. Because it was really difficult, you know, because for a while I was driving all the way up halfway into Washington, and I'd be stuck out there doing work. And so we're like, you know what, we need to figure out something that I could do where we can actually pursue music together, because you know,
gotta have time. It's a lot of time. Anybody that does music knows that.
Oh yeah. It's really consuming. And I'd come home every night after work and just like pass out on the bed, sometimes without eating, because I'd be so just physically exhausted.
How many hours were you spending on it back then?
On music?
Yeah.
I mean, really just whenever we could, we just kind of dabble with stuff and work on some different things. And we kind of like had our own separate studios that we'd work on things with, and just kind of jam out some different ideas and stuff together. But it wasn't until, like 4 years into our relationship that we actually decided to get serious and form our band.
Nice. You mentioned getting a music degree.
Oh.
From where and what?
Oh, it was just a fun little program at Portland Community College. So it's like an associate's degree. Yeah, they do this. I think it's still around, their professional music certificate. So it's just 2 years. You get to hone in on only music, no math, no English. It's just full on. It was super interesting. And at the time I had zero background in theory and any training other than just private lessons as a bass player. So it's just really fun to learn outside of that.
Basic theory now at this point?
Basic.
Yeah. Did they teach you songwriting?
No, it's a theory. Theory. What did we do? There's like harmony, class.
Okay.
I can't, not songwriting necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is a poet, though.
Didn't know
Who
it.
writes the lyrics more in this band?
Oh, we were really half and half it. Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. We try to keep it that way because both are songwriters. So
Yeah.
we try to keep it equal and write together. That's really fun too. And
Instrumentally, lyrically, everything you try to keep equal.
well, he does his own instrumentation. I do my own instrumentation. I can't say
Whoever
instrumentation.
introduces the song will bring the instrumentation with it.
Sometimes.
Generally, I mean, things could change all the time. I mean, sometimes a song might start with a lyric. Other times it might even start with a beat, or we might put together music and be like, all right, now let's talk about what kind of lyrics we want to write for this song. Sometimes it's just started out on a guitar riff or something. But yeah, we're not really defined by having one certain formula of writing. We just whatever inspires us, and we just kind of go from there. And lately, we've been trying to incorporate like some different sounding stuff. Like I'm playing a tongue drum for this new song. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Maybe is that what they used to do in the Peanuts cartoon with Snoopy and stuff? But no, I think that's the guitar, the tongue thing.
No, it's actually it's like a metal bowl-shaped instrument that's it's rhythmically played, but it sounds melodic. So there's like different notes on it. It's kind of similar. I don't know if you've seen those videos of like the real big giant ones that people like play with their hands, and it sounds like really
drum.
hypnotic and stuff. And it's like a smaller version of that you play with mallets.
Okay.
And it's really cool sounding.
Yeah, so you brought that to the table, and then I wrote bass, and then you did lyric.
I did some really cool electronic beats and sounds in the background. There's even a turntable like right before the chorus comes in that's kind of pumps it up and stuff. And
You guys are experimenting with genre.
yeah,
always.
Yeah, definitely always.
Which makes us a booker's dream come true.
Or not.
No, it's not. That's very sarcastic.
But yeah, I mean, we're just happy playing music and trying to come up with different stuff. I think we're going to throw in one acoustic song into our set, which usually we just have only done on like radio shows and stuff. And one special tribute night that we did at Al's Den last year. But yeah, so we're kind of experimenting, trying to do different things and create different sounds. And
what has been your favorite venue to play in Portland?
Well, our first venue that we played our first show at is always fun. That was June 30th, 2014 at Dante's.
Nice.
And that's always a fun one to play at because they have great sound. It's a fun room.
Is that on Friday?
It's old Portland. No, we actually opened up for karaoke.
Karaoke from Hell.
Karaoke from Hell. Yeah.
It was like a Monday or something.
Monday night.
It was really fun.
Cool.
But yeah, it was pretty cool. And then other than that, the biggest venue that we played that had amazing sound, of course, was the Roseland, and that was an awesome
That sounds awesome.
experience
Yeah, that was a
to be able to
event.
play there.
How many people?
It was sold out. It was a sold out event, but it was for an art show, and so there weren't people like in the crowd the whole entire time. And it was the whole building too. It wasn't just the main stage area. There was downstairs art. And just all over the place. And so they had displays set up, and so it wasn't like your typical capacity.
Yeah.
Different bands and different performances. It was just a really cool
Eclectic mix of
collective
art.
that we got to be a part of.
Different type
Special.
of art mediums.
Yeah.
It's called Raw Artists. And yeah, that was pretty cool. We also got a chance with them to play up in Seattle at a really fun place too for the Raw event. And that was really cool.
Pertaining to a fan question, who was more nervous for that show?
I know who's asked that. Me. I'm always more nervous. I had to take, our first probably, I want to say 8 shows. I was on beta blockers because I was terrified. I only started performing.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, I wanted to always, but I had such stage fright. I just never could really get the guts up. I dabbled doing music over the years and different little things, and when I'd come down to a show, I'd like, oh, how about you? I'll just play during practice, not at the shows. How about that? So yeah, it was terrifying, but I don't take anything anymore and I love it. But it definitely took a while to get over that.
What changed that you just decided to one day?
Playing over 100 shows, maybe?
Well, what? Decided to play?
Just sing on stage in front of everybody and not be nervous about it anymore.
I knew I had to do it, or else, you have that thing inside of you that you have to do. So I knew I had to get through that blockage. And the last show I took the beta blocker for, which helps you with anxiety if anybody doesn't know what they are. It slows down your heart rate so you're not freaking out, but you're still freaking out in your head, but your body doesn't react, so you're not shaky and all that. But I wasn't getting the adrenaline rush on stage. So I'd play a show and I'm like, God, Bryan, I don't know if I love doing this. I'm not getting that
anxiety rush instead.
Yeah. So after that, I didn't take one the next show and I had so much fun. I was like, okay, nope, you can't be on those drugs. You got to really feel this. I mean, playing music is a drug of its own.
Yeah. You don't need anything to enhance it.
That's right.
No. Or to dumb it down. Why would you want to do that? You got to have those feelings and you can screw up. Big deal.
Yeah. I think music is a drug itself.
Yeah.
You're here.
Good drug.
If you got a good crowd and you're working off the vibe, and that can't be beat. You play better when you have a better crowd. You think so?
Definitely.
Yes, I
Definitely.
agree.
It really helps.
I love it when there's people we recognize and their smiling faces. That just is the most special thing.
If anyone ever dances, which seems to be
Oh,
harder
right.
during small shows, that's great.
It's actually especially a hard thing in Portland.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what
We're
it
not a
is,
dancing
but for some
town.
reason, Portland, there's hardly anyone dances.
You got to bring someone in outside. I brought a girl in from Canada once, and she had the whole bar dancing.
Love it.
Nice.
Love
Just gotta-
that.
Yeah.
We need more transplants here then.
She was just visiting, unfortunately.
Right? Oh, I don't know. Have you ever heard a Portland native say we need more transplants? I'm proud of you, Bryan.
And let's get to some more fan questions.
Okay.
So there was a couple other questions. One of them, I thought you guys sent me this. No? Did you send me that? You sent me an that was what
Oh,
it was.
yeah. Tagged you.
Yeah.
Hi, Lucy.
Yeah.
So do you guys have a favorite song that you like to perform? I'm guessing that would be the final song of your set, but
That's such a loaded question. I don't want to say loaded, but it changes all the time, right? Just sometimes Bryan was saying it's always the new song. Well, sometimes it's the newest song. Sometimes like, oh, I haven't played that for a while. That's so much fun. It's my favorite right now. And I go through like waves of my favorites for sure.
I think one of the ones that's stuck around for the longest now that's a good representation of our sound and just the trading off on male and female vocals is Lift Off.
Just gonna say, yep.
has it got harmonies and stuff that you work with in that one?
Yeah, it's kind of like there's a lot of trading off, like
A little bit of
we'll
call
sing
and
a
response.
call and response style.
Nice. So it's like a traditional duo, I
In
guess.
the chorus, yeah.
It has like kind of a danceable vibe to it and a really cool bass groove.
Fun.
Nice little guitar solo thrown in, and kind of has like
Got all the elements.
okay, I'm trying to remember. There was a radio DJ that said that it sounded like more of a dancier, almost slightly punky-ish version of like a Modest Mouse song or something. Is what it was kind of referred to.
Yeah, I never get sick of playing that one for some reason.
How old is that one?
It's
Maybe
like a couple
3
years
years?
old now, right?
2 or 3, 2. It's on the newer album, the newest album that came out last year, and we probably performed it for a year before we recorded.
As far as when you created that song, did it come easy to you? Did it take months, many months?
It actually started with Melissa was doing this really amazing bass instructor that she found through. There's a girl that plays bass. What's her name?
She used to play bass in Zepparella.
Oh, Zepparella.
She doesn't
And they're
anymore.
Led Zeppelin, all female Led Zeppelin cover band. And we actually saw them at Dante's. And like I typically don't really care about cover bands at all or tribute bands and stuff. just because me as an artist, I prefer to write my own original music and stuff, even though it is fun to throw in covers every now and then. But anyway, Zepparella like blew us both away. Like they were all just amazing artists and just put on just an awesome show. Like I don't think I'd ever want to see an all guy band do a Zeppelin tribute, but for some reason the all girl band of them just kicking ass was just amazing.
Yeah, she's a phenomenal bass player.
And her instructor was it Kai Eckhart?
Kai Eckhart. Mm-hmm.
And he's an awesome, amazing bass player. And so she did these online courses with him for a while. And one of the things was, maybe you want to talk about it instead? No.
You go right ahead and talk about my movie.
I think one of the things that he had her do was just pick stuff up without even thinking about it and just start playing something, like not even think, just let your fingers do the work. And she had to do like a certain amount of these, right? For a while.
Yeah, it was rigorous. It was a lot.
And one of the bass lines was actually how Lift Off started because it was her bass line.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, I really like that. And started jamming guitar stuff over the top of it. And then for a while, it was just kind of, we're working on other things, so we kind of put it off. And then all of a sudden, it's like, you know what? We need to really do something with this.
Yeah.
And then it just all came together.
There's a lot of those floating in our archives of.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
Yeah, that was a good jam. Oh crud! Let's get back to that. Oh crud! Let's get back to that
have
one.
them saved in recordings or
Scratch tracks on some.
Yeah, some of it's scratch tracks.
Tab written out.
Some of it's like a quick like mini video of stuff just to like not forget.
My phone's full of videos.
Because like we've written so many songs and not all of them are complete, so it's. Sometimes I have to go back and like figure out, like I have to like relearn it. Like I am learning a cover song.
We're learning a lot of our old songs as we're getting ready to go on a month tour.
Yeah, recording as opposed to, like I have a gig at Portland Saturday Market in April and I have a new album. So I'm like, oh great, I have to learn these songs. Because when you record them, you just want to get them on the tape.
Like, oh wait, what did I do?
Exactly.
So I try to keep it real simple nowadays. I told Bryan lately, I'm like, man, I'm just really loving some of our new songs. It's really some simple bass playing, but it's great. It's fun. And man, it's so much easier to relearn.
Yeah. Do you play and sing at the same time?
Yeah.
Have you found that to be difficult? Or?
In the beginning, yes. I didn't think it would be possible. So when you finally do, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it really is. And I always tell people that want to play music and feel like they can't, like, just do it. Like, it's amazing. To me, that's the magic part of playing music is going, yeah, right, I can't do this. And then all of a sudden you come back, you're like, holy shit, I'm doing this.
And you find yourself shocked when you can't do it.
Yeah, it's such a cool feeling.
I was playing in a band a decade ago and then one day they're like, okay, just do guitar without vocals. I'm like, actually, I can't do that. The timing was all off. Like I knew where it came in on the vocal. Oh, right, so without that, I was kind of lost.
There is that.
Oh, yeah. Definitely good to have cues in your head, especially if you're so used to it. It's kind of like muscle memory.
That happened when we were doing a scratch track for our latest song. Is Bryan's like, okay, go put your vocals down. I was like, oh, I had the hardest time singing that without playing my bass.
Exactly.
Yeah, sometimes it's just not the same. Yeah. You just really have to like have that driving energy. It's like part of that emotion and soul going into it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something about you need your hands to be doing something.
Right.
It is a muscle memory thing.
Yeah. We had a song we did for a little bit where I put down the bass and it was so awkward. I'm like, what do I do with my hands? And there's nothing in front of me.
Jumping jacks.
Like my shield.
Just a stage dive into the crowd.
And the third fan question was, what was your favorite place to play on tour?
Oh, yeah. We were talking about this because we saw those questions. We're like, gosh. So it gets us reminiscing about like our last tour and how there's so many different favorite kinds of places. It kind of depends on like favorite place to play. Mm-hmm. What would you say was your favorite place to play at when we were on tour last time, Bryan?
Well, let's see. I mean, Reno is always fun. We always have a really good time in Reno. And it's just awesome. People there are great. The last 2 times we played with the same exact lineup just because it was so much fun. And So maybe we'll just keep on doing that every single time we come back to Reno.
It's a special place.
I got a couple listeners that are from Reno, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's
Cool. Yeah, it's a special place to me. I don't know. The first time we went there, I kind of fell in love with it. And I told Bryan I wanted to move there. And that was 3 tours ago. So we played there 3 times since. And last time I'm like, maybe I won't like Reno. Maybe it's just in my head. But now I still like it. It's a cool place.
Nice.
And I was saying we also, the parts of the trip, we actually had time to hang out in a place because a lot of times you're just like point A to point B and in the car and in a club and trying to get some sleep when you can.
Yeah.
But we had time to walk around and experience things in Spokane, Washington, and in Bisbee, Arizona. And I thought both those places were pretty cool.
Oh, definitely. They both had their own different vibe and energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bisbee was one of the things that I wish that we would have been able to do was go to the museum where they have all kinds of giant geodes and rocks and crystals from all over the place. And Smithsonian. Yeah, like there's not too many of those around, and so it's heavily funded, and so what I've heard, they've had huge spectacular things, but we were walking around and then all of a sudden we walked by and we're like, all right, let's go in, and it's closed. And we're like, oh, shucks.
Screwed the pooch.
But my folks actually own a metaphysical gift shop that sells all that kind of stuff called the Mystery Gallery.
Was it like the middle of the day or?
Yeah. It was.
Yeah, but I can't remember what day of the week that was. It was a weird tour because we accidentally toured over Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
So a lot of places were just like energy was a little off. So Bisbee, everything was closing really early, and
This reminds me of Portland because I'm from New York City. So I'm like, why is this place closed? I'm always like, Portland, the city that sleeps.
seriously, I was so sad. I moved here when I was 17 from small little town in Eastern Oregon. And I was so excited to be in the city, and I was so disappointed when I moved here. I was like, are you kidding me? Places close early? I'm supposed to be in the city.
Yeah, the weekend, apparently, if like you can't even get a mechanic to fix your car.
unless you're related to them, right?
Yeah, well,
And
be
that
like
could still-
Bryan,
and that
have a
could still
huge
be tough.
family.
Yeah.
Be like Bryan.
As far as the tour, who did most of the business and booking process, such like that?
Melissa usually does that. Like,
Nice.
so we, like in our band, when we met, we tried to share roles just because there's so much stuff, and we kind of act as our own record label in a sense. And so we do not just the music. Sometimes it feels like we do more business than actually have time to do the creative
That's
part.
what happens.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah, it sucks.
It totally sucks.
But it's what we love, and one of our big passions is tour.
Yeah.
And so Melissa, she deals with most of the booking. I've helped out a little bit in the past, and right now I'm helping out finding some different bands from Nashville.
Okay.
So I try to take on most of it, and then I'll delegate like, hey, you know what? If you have time when he's not doing doing recording for us or working on graphic
mastering.
design, because I'm like, all right, Bryan, I need a poster, I need this, and then I've also been lucky enough to have a buddy of ours that's helped me out the last tour and is going to be helping us out with this one to help me fill in holes.
Nice.
As far as venues go, which is so amazing. Anybody that does it on their own, having any kind of help is just.
And we got to give a shout out to his band too, Shane DeLeon from Miss Massive Snowflake.
They're badass.
They were in Portland for a while, but now he's back in Billings, right?
Mm-hmm. He has
Billings,
a venue
Montana,
now.
and he has an art venue, music venue. And we're going to actually play there this spring on our tour.
Cool.
Kirk's Grocery.
Nice. As far as any aspiring Portland bands, what advice would you give them if they wanted to book a tour? Like, how would they go about it?
Baby steps.
Okay.
I mean, that for me, at least, I don't follow rules of like what the smart thing to do is, so it might not be the best person because we came to this game a little later.
Okay.
And the first year we were playing, I said, I want to go on a tour every year. And I guess if you read what you should do as a band, you should get big in your hometown, then go out on the road and do the same thing over and over. Well, that sounds really boring to me, and I don't have patience. So the first year we were together, we don't have a big following. We're just started playing music.
Yeah.
And we went to San Francisco and did like this little mini tour, and things fell apart, and you just learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
And we learned a lot from that little one. And then every year it's gotten bigger and bigger, and you get better.
Nice.
Yeah, I just say start small. And if you want to do it, just do it. I mean, we go on different routes because I want to see the country. I want to see the world eventually, but we just do it for fun and for the love of it, and keeping the for fun and for the love of it close to your heart, because otherwise it's just silly. I mean, we plan, we don't expect to make money. Don't expect that.
Yeah,
and then when you do, you can go, yes, this is rad, but don't expect it,
It's gotta just be fun.
Yeah. That's me. I mean, everybody's different.
I'd like to add too that it's important to be prepared. Make sure you have your Swiss Army knife. One of the things that happened on one of our tours was a natural disaster, which we had. There's no way we could avoid it, but we had a house party that we're scheduled to play over in LA, and we had to cancel it because we were stuck in traffic for over 15 hours because of this mudslide. And it was just insane. And the traffic, we kept on getting redirected and everything. And
I never even heard of the mudslide.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
it covered I-5.
Where was that? Right before the Grapevine.
So it rained in California and it caused chaos.
Well, because it hardly ever rains down there. And so when it does, like the earth is unstable and it's not used to mass amounts of rain. And
it covered I-5.
The hills just basically collapsed.
Fault lines all over.
And I think there's some people that actually didn't make it from that too.
No, nobody.
No, there was. There was? There was
no way.
There's some people. The cars were completely covered, and
that's worse than an earthquake.
It was crazy. Yeah, it was really crazy. But okay, and some more advice would be
don't drink too much so you don't have to potty in a 16-hour gridlock.
Yeah, don't party too hard if you have to get up for a really long drive the next day, because you want to make sure that you have to keep in mind there's different things like time changes, traffic. There's a huge list of stuff that you have to be prepared for.
Oh yeah.
And also it's good to have a mechanic if you have a mechanic in your band.
Donut in the back.
Yeah. Or just a AAA card that can help you out if you get stuck.
I mean, a lot of these places, credit cards will give you like a free tow or whatever, like so many things.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, there's like so much you don't even, like my insurance company offers me free tow. Like I had no idea. It's like...
That's great. Yeah. And then as far as like equipment goes too, you also have to worry about your equipment because... I mean that's gold. That's gold for tweakers to take to a pawn shop.
Well,
right.
And so one of the things that's smart is I know ASCAP offers this insurance that you don't have to wait for. That's specially just for musicians, where you can immediately get all the stuff that you just lost without having to wait.
Musicians Pro Insurance.
Yeah, Musicians Pro Insurance, and so that would be really good to have if you don't.
Yeah.
And also just
common sense. People don't let anybody see that you have music gear in your car. I don't know.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
If you have to bring all your stuff into the hotel or whatever, your motel or friend's house that you're staying in.
Would you bring a big PA system on tour?
Not a huge PA system, but we've like with our backing track setup. We have a really nice speaker that we use that kind of like pushes the music out 180 degrees and has really good coverage and just spreads really great and just sounds amazing. And so we won't play a show without it. Yeah. And we can use that as we've actually used that as a PA too, where we've run vocals into if we have to. And like at some of the little dingy dive bars, it's actually sounded better using our own stuff versus some of their little crackly.
It's not like a legit PA system, but it'll do if you have to make do.
Yeah. What do you put on the backing tracks? Drums and...
Yeah, drums, keyboards, samples, all kinds of different sounds that we create.
Yeah. How do you get started with that? Like, I think I want to do one of those for a show, but I don't know. It seems like hard to even...
Well, I mean... It's more tedious work, right?
I mean, basically, you're going to want to work with some kind of perfect timing, like a click track or something. A lot of I play like straight up live with an electronic drum set.
Okay.
And then also do some programming as well. But it's good to have like a metronome or something click track that you could play to, so that way your timing's not off, and you could always adjust it and speed it up or slow it down.
As for those tracks, do you take basically your initial recording tracks, just the bass layers, or is it something different?
The bass layer is usually it's either an instrument that's played just straight up to a click track, which I usually try to avoid because click tracks are really annoying. They just depending on what you're playing. For some things it could be just fine. Yeah. But there's not a whole lot of feeling that you're playing along with when you're just playing to a click. And so usually I'll kind of experiment and maybe jam around with click stuff, or I might even just record stuff dry and then let one of the plugins analyze how many beats per minute that song would be, and then I'll kind of go through and figure some things out, and sometimes just find different drum loops that might work,
that's what I do if I'm doing storyboarding.
or just temporary simple beats that might be programmed just to have something to play along with.
How would you run that into the PA?
Well, let's see.
Or through your amplifier.
Let me show you.
We started out doing a few different things. Like I actually ran everything from the computer, and then we realized, there's a few different shows that we played where the sound was so big that it actually the vibrations from the speaker actually made the computer skip the track during mid-performance.
That's rough.
And so we're like, we can't do this. We need to find something different, an alternative. And
more reliable.
And plus, you don't want to bring an expensive computer with you and have something go wrong as well. Yeah. And so we found this app that's called Backtracks, and it's amazing. Nice. We could actually run it from our phone if we wanted to.
Yeah, your phone, your iPad, you load your songs from iTunes.
Is you just put in a WAV file, and then you could load up your set list and then hit play. And you could even set it up to where it's just seamless and it just goes from one song to another, or you could manually.
Your phone's history got erased, or else I was going to show you.
If you need a drink or need to adjust some effects on your board or something in between songs, and you could just manually hit play and stuff in between.
It's really cool. I mean,
but yeah, it
doesn't look as fancy as a computer, but honestly,
it's better, I think.
It's a lot easier. It's less stuff to bring too, which is nice.
You don't have to set up a phone.
but we'll use an iPad because it's a little bit bigger and easier to use. So we use an iPad for that.
The phone is for emergencies. If something happens,
that's just for backup. If and when it ever does.
And the app has never crashed.
Never. No. Knock on something.
Awesome.
It's been awesome.
What company is that?
I don't know. It's just an app.
Awesome.
Just
you have to look it up,
store.
but it's called Backtracks. And if you're ever serious about having backtracks in a performance,
that's amazing, because I
definitely look into that.
For my recording programs, I like to use Ableton Live.
And that's great. Yeah,
I love Ableton Live. And so when I went to audio recording school, I was trained on Pro Tools. So I'm like, that's the industry standard. I'll go back to it. And as soon as they started running Pro Tools on Windows 10, thing crashed all the time. I was like, I hate Pro Tools. I'm going back. What do you guys like to use?
We use actually kind of similar. I went to school also for recording and engineering and stuff. And the industry standard Pro Tools. They start you on Pro Tools. Then I kind of went into Cubase, using Cubase for a while, and then also got big into using Reason. And then I ended up basically just sticking with Mac because it's like, I got so tired of people hacking on all the Windows stuff, and
Pro Tools actually works,
and everything crashing and everything, and so I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna splurge and throw this on a credit card and get a Macintosh. Yeah. And so I've been using Logic ever since, and that's worked out really well.
What plugins do you guys like?
Building.
I would say my favorites right now, if there's one company to get plugins through, I would say Isotope is probably one of my favorites. There's just so many awesome stuff, and I believe they're based out of Boston too.
You use Ozone for mastering?
That's actually the next thing I'm gonna get. Like I have a few different collections of stuff. Like I use this soft tube mastering plugin that's really amazing.
Cool.
That I would highly recommend.
For vocals, I'd recommend Isotope Nectar. It's a pretty good
Check
one.
it out.
Oh,
Yeah, right now I have the Creative Suite, and I've looked into all the other stuff, and I'm like, oh, I love this. I just can't afford it right now.
Yeah.
But I'm waiting. I'm actually, if I can, I'm going to wait until next year, because this last year I bought. They did their Black Friday sale all the way up to the New Year, right?
Yeah.
And I think everything was like 50% off or something.
Nice.
I'm like, well, if I could. I do have to save money for tours, so I'm like, oh, I can't really do this right now, even though I want it all right now.
Yeah.
So I'm probably gonna have to wait until fall.
I think live stuff is more important than recording stuff at this point, or what would you say?
Right now we're in the studio working on new material and also recording. But one of our big things, we love playing live. We really do. But we also love creating as well.
Yeah.
And so we've actually taken this has been our biggest break since we started playing live music together, where we've taken a few months off from playing and just strictly dealt with studio stuff. And
Promo.
but there are a few things that have kind of, happened recently. I talked about my cousin Rachel passing away. That was during that time. And also my grandfather, just recently passed away. And so there's been kind of a lot of stuff that's been hard. That's step back the music part of it, which is normal. But at the same time, it's like, well, I'm glad that I didn't have a show during all this, because I would have had to cancel it or not been able to be myself.
Yeah.
Put on a good performance, and that's what's important to us too, is being able to give everything we got. When we're out there, because we want to inspire others and share our stories, and if we could hit one person in the room and change their lives, that's amazing.
Yeah, you get that email saying your song really hit me in a certain way, and that pretty much keeps a musician going, I think.
Definitely.
True.
Definitely.
For me, just one comment every couple of weeks, that's good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it helps you. Of course you do it because you need to do it, but
it just
sometimes you're like, why am I doing this?
You need some people to say, we like what you're doing, and keep doing it. You need people to say that to you sometimes.
For sure.
Because then you start to get in your own head.
Yes, because you are doing something you're putting out to the world, obviously. And it is personal, but it's not just personal, else you wouldn't put it out there.
Yeah.
And everybody knows you could be your own worst enemy,
Especially a musician.
Your biggest judge, right?
We're weird.
Critique.
Artists are so self-deprecating in the worst way. Artists can't help themselves.
Awful.
Oh, yeah.
So many times I'm just like, I don't want to do that song ever again. It's just awful, isn't it? Oh, God.
It doesn't take long. You can be writing something and like an hour later. I've done things where I've written something. Within a half hour, I'm like, this is great. An hour later, I'm like, this is the worst song I've ever heard in my life.
I think Elliott Smith did that a lot, too.
It's depending on your mood, I think, a lot of the time.
Sometimes it's good to have a partner that helps balance that kind of stuff out, for sure. Because I know I'm the worst with that, and Brian's always been amazing, like cheerleader for it all, where I'm like, keeps me going, for sure. And I didn't want to do any of my songs when we first started playing. It's like, no, nothing I wrote. No. Mm-hmm. They're awful. They're the worst. And you're like, they're great.
Now I'm forcing her. I'm like, nope, we got to do this.
Nice.
And one of the ones that Melissa wrote too recently is the next one that we're going to be working on is called Famous. And I'm really excited about that one. You want to talk about it? What it's about?
It's about how nobody likes you till you're famous. It's great.
One of the lyrics is, when you're dead, they'll know what your name is.
Nice.
Great. Now somebody else is going to write it. Yep. We've got this on tape.
Do you ever write a song with her in mind, or vice versa? Like, I want you to do these vocals, or maybe you read a song and you're like, I think you're better on this vocal line.
I want to speak to that one, because there's a song I recently wrote, and my folks are like, "Oh, that's such a great song Brian wrote." I'm like, no, I wrote it. He's just singing it, and that was "Wait."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, did he write that about you? I'm like, and actually, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I would like to know that story.
Actually, she wrote it about me.
Did I?
Yeah.
You know, things sometimes are loosely like about, and then you flourish, like embellish or unbellish.
Sometimes you write a song and it then becomes something else.
Yeah, totally.
As far as when you record guitar in studio, do you do it through an amplifier? Do you use guitar processing through the amplifier? What do you use? Cubase?
Right now, I'm currently using Logic Pro X, and I have this stereo Roland amp that's actually I just recently purchased, and it's amazing because I use a lot of different delays and effects and stuff, and right now I have like, God, how many stereo effects? There's probably like 4 or 5 different pedals that are all in stereo.
Yeah.
And now I could finally fully take advantage of that. And so I have 2 clip-on mics that I use that I used before on my drum set that are great little Sennheiser mics. And they just clip right on the end of my cabinet. And it sounds awesome. It also has really clean direct line outs. And so I mic it, but I also use the line outs as well. And then I also have... and that's stereo as well as the 2 line out stereos. And then I also run a clean signal that's just strictly just clean guitar. That way, if I wanted to use any plugins that are in the computer, that it's untainted, and or if I just want like a slight, sometimes I'll find like a different plugin that's like a amp simulator or something that just gives like kind of just a subtle like grittier clean sound, or just a different vibe, and I might blend it in with that clean guitar track, and then just have it kind of like halfway into the mix of what the lead guitar would be doing or something, where it's just kind of like gives it a little bit of body to it.
So you always set up that matrix mix, and then you blend them together, and then you possibly add later effects post-production. Nice. That's a pretty good technique.
But a lot of it's the sound that's on my board, which is usually always evolving because I'm addicted to pedals. So.
What pedals are you into right now?
Well, right now I just actually bought a pedal that's been around for a long time. It's a Maxim, and it's the OD 909. And I did all this research because I was trying to figure out something that I can have more of a natural sound to for a clean tone, but be able to have a little bit of grit behind it. Because I mean, I've got a distortion that I use for all the straight heavy parts. It's just a Boss metal zone. But the way that I have it set up, it sounds different from the way that most people use it.
You don't believe in multi-effects processors?
I actually, I've had a few different ones that I've used before, and like once we started actually playing live and stuff, I've heard from a lot of my other friends that were touring musicians that were telling me horror stories about how like since they're all digital and you store your settings on the board, that there's been times where everything just got completely erased.
Or just breaks.
Yeah.
And you have no pedal. You went from like 100 pedals to none.
Yeah. That is pretty scary.
Yeah, and so I do, I mean, we were actually looking at a digital pedal that's programmable. Yeah. It's like a smaller version.
Line 6.
That we were both thinking about actually getting, and it's like a Line 6 Helix H Stomp or something, I think is what it's called. Where there's just like 3 switches on it, and you can do a whole bunch of different stuff and have things programmed, which would be great, and if we ever tour Europe, something like that would be awesome to have. Just because it's, bringing a giant pedal board and stuff is just really tough to carry around with you.
I used to use the AX 15G made by Korg. And it was just, I grew up on that multi-effects pedal, so I was like, I'm thinking about buying another one just because I like those traditional sounds they made. I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah. And you guys did an animated music video. What inspired that?
We actually this is our 3rd one, and we're going to be working on another one that we might actually, it's kind of top secret what we're going to be doing with it, but yeah, we've had the same animator, Zachary Whitmore, which he's actually an ex-professional wrestler too. Super awesome guy. We got to meet him for the first time in person on our last tour in La Grande.
Yeah.
That was another fun show.
he's from La Grande. He's not from Portland, which a lot of people think that he's from Portland because he works with us, but he's not. But anyway, he does like the really cool Adult Swim style cartoons, and he just kind of surprised us with the first one. He was like, "Happy New Year! I hope you guys don't mind. I made you a music video," and it was like, "Whoa, are you kidding me?"
That's amazing.
It's just
awesome.
those are my words. That's amazing, and we just like we're so grateful and thankful and stuff. And
It looked like it took a long time.
and we're a little bit nervous to talk to him, but it's like, is there any way that you can do another one?
Now we have a
We'll pay
working arrangement,
and so. But yeah, so he's done he's done all three that we have all up on YouTube and on our website too, on whenwemet.band that anyone could do, or if they go to our YouTube channel, it's all there. And also our live video or our tour videos. We did like this last tour, we did a whole episode series.
How did you record those?
I did it all on my phone.
Nice.
Yeah. And then just, I'd love to get Final Cut Pro for video editing.
I like Vegas.
But I actually did Vegas. Yeah, that's what Dave Gesture uses.
Oh, okay.
Grew up on that one.
It's Vegas, but I can't use Vegas because I'm on a Mac.
Sure. So, there you go.
Because I was actually interested in having him show me how to use it and stuff, because he's probably done some of has the largest archive of Portland live shows. And like he's been around for years, and he's been doing it since like the 70s, I think, or something like that.
People and
he does the blues festival every single year, but he uses Vegas and he swears by it, and he's done some work for us too.
Yeah, he's done a couple of cool live videos back in the day.
Nice. I'm going to say Final Cut Pro is like the industry standard before Avid, so that's not bad at all. But do you guys ever have bands open for you, or would you ever do that in the future?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. I mean, we're not too picky about where we play in the lineup. I mean, if we like the band or even the person and
we open for bands open for us, we sandwich, we do it all.
Yeah. We headline, we play in the middle, we open. It just depends on what's going on or who booked the show or what we feel like doing, or what time our fans
my parents are
can
coming.
make it. Yeah, if our parents are coming, then we might open.
Yeah.
They come from out of town. And they're so sweet. So
Have you ever played at Mississippi Pizza?
No.
I was thinking about booking a show there at some point. Maybe we should do one.
In the Atlantis room, right?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
That's where the
That'd be
girl
rad.
from Canada got all those people to dance.
Nice.
Oh,
There's
really?
certain
Fun.
places where people get down. The Goodfoot people get down. If you want to see people in Portland actually dance and go wild, that place is a trip.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
They do a lot of funk and jazz there.
Yeah, stuff that people dance to for
some danceable music.
Yeah.
At one point, someone had spun the stools around, so they did like spinning people around on stools
nice.
during the dance. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Mississippi Pizza lets you. That's what Mississippi Pizza.
Yeah.
They let you get down.
They do.
Nice.
Were they doing shots too while they're spinning them?
No, I don't think
Throwing Jello shots in their mouth, like.
That'll happen when we play.
Yeah.
Nice.
Jello shots off stage. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, actually, their pizza's pretty good.
Yeah, we used to go there for pizza a lot.
One of our favorite pizza places. Of course, and there's
Baby Doll.
Never been there?
I haven't been there.
I've heard it's
So
really good.
Yeah, my favorite.
But
We got to branch out on our pizza places,
yeah.
Brian.
But we're both more into the thinner style stuff. Like that's New York,
That's
right?
New York, yeah.
That's your hometown. So we're partial to the thinner pizzas.
Because the last guy that came on was into the thicker, and I almost kicked him out.
like that?
You're like sorry. See the door? It's right there.
Shortly after that, I was like, this interview is over.
This isn't going to work out. Lucy wants you to leave.
Lucy's allergic to you.
Exactly.
Man.
Thin crust.
But yeah, I would say like they may not be the thinnest crust. Well, I guess fairly thin crust. Like a couple of my personal favorites. I mean, one of them is just like our family haunt that because my grandparents just live right down the street, and so we've always done meetups over there. Is Amalfi's Pizza on Fremont in Northeast Portland. Also, American Dream is amazing.
I gotta try that.
Yeah,
Brian's really into toppings, so these
American
are places
Dream's
that
good. So they do like more of the bigger toppings, but still the thin crust and have really good sauce and stuff.
Yeah.
Sog can happen
And
because
then if
of
you
toppings.
also like really good or bigger toppings, Flying Pie Pizza too. They have a couple locations, one on Stark, one on Southeast McLaughlin.
It's amazing. I hadn't even heard of those. I gotta try them.
Oh yeah,
You're sounding like a pizza connoisseur.
connoisseur.
Yeah,
Everyone knows Hot Lips, of course, but they're so overpriced. I think.
Overrated.
I'm really I won't go there anymore. I boycotted him because we had like a really fun dive bar in Northeast Sandy that had like really great food and just like a fun vibe, and it was called Pal Shanties. And Hot Lips ended up taking it over. I mean,
they didn't do
terrible.
anything mean.
and I'm sure they didn't bribe them or burn down the building. Although there was a mysterious fire, though, a kitchen fire. So I mean, I don't know. But
Do you want to investigate?
they could have had something to do with it. You never know.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just saying.
Just saying.
But when one of your favorite little places goes down and can never be there anymore, and then a corporate place comes in, it kind of makes you sad.
To keep
They are, aren't they?
They're local.
No, they do a chain.
They
They're
have a
franchise.
chain.
Yeah.
They have
I
a
guess
chain.
they're not anywhere out of Portland though.
I
But
think they came to Reno.
really,
Yeah, because
From
somebody
Reno?
from no, there's one in Reno because people
yeah.
in Reno are now getting upset about Portlanders moving there and taking over their town, and so it's like somebody took a picture of I think it was Hot Lips and said go back to Portland. So they're feeling like all the Portlanders get mean about Californians, and so Reno's doing it to
So we can't move to Reno now
because
if we decide to. Because
get out of here.
I would continue to ask around because in LA I used to have a favorite pizza place and I found out that they renamed and moved somewhere else and they were pretty much the same. So I would continue to investigate. Just ask as many people as you can until you get.
you know what, you could be right because there's a club called Church that took over our favorite Thai restaurant. That's also happens to be on Sandy, just further towards downtown. And then we found out later that they moved to a food cart over in the Cartlandia on 82nd.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah. And it's like one of the best little Thai dishes that we've had. We know it as M2 because that was their little abbreviation to figure out what it was, but it's got this huge long name to it. I can't even remember. But anyway, it's amazing. It's like eating tacos, but they put like all this awesome stuff in like in a full thing of like a piece of romaine lettuce. And it's like minced vegetables and grains and meat. And it's awesome.
What's your favorite Thai go-to?
Ooh, well, let's see. We have
Necessity and laziness. We go to Chaba Thai.
Chaba Thai. They have two
Alberta.
locations, one on Sandy, one on Alberta. But we like the Alberta one better because it's usually not as crowded.
I have a hard time with crowds. I don't go to a lot of the hipster Portland restaurants. They're too busy.
We like the quiet dive bars too, preferably.
The Pints Brewery is right around here. They got some good craft brews.
Nice.
Yeah. Used to have the Ripsaw Red, but then they changed all the names. And they actually changed the name. It's called Acropolis or something now. Like,
Acropolis.
yeah.
Now that's a strip club on
I
McLaughlin.
know. What?
Would you guys ever play at a strip club?
Would we?
I'll leave this one up to Melissa here.
No,
good.
I don't think I'd be comfortable with it. Yeah, it's just not my
Dante's you play
vibe.
at, though.
Yeah, but there's no stripping happening at the time.
That's different. They do Sinfernos
nothing
on
nothing
Sunday.
against it. It's just.
Let me ask you. They have Sunday Nights Inferno. If they ever asked if you wanted to open right before Sinferno, would you do it?
I don't think I'd be against that.
Okay.
No, I just don't know if I'd want to play to like a standard. Like this is a strip club. This is what's happening. Because I
Yeah.
just think I'd probably just feel a little uncomfortable.
I don't think anybody's gonna really paying attention to the band either.
No, that's the thing. I want all the attention. And Brian would
sucks.
have to get naked. Well, have to.
And, oh yeah, that promo picture. I'd like to know about that. Good thing you brought that up.
Promo picture.
That was fun.
What's that?
Gave me the idea to do that picture.
Brian's nudie shots?
Yeah.
Oh, she was having a bad day because we were snowed in, right?
We're trying to get him ready for their 2020 calendar.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a real weenie shrinker. Yeah. I couldn't post the full body. Did I post a full body shot? No.
Maybe on accident.
Not in the stories.
Am I aware of this?
You could get away with it in the story, but
Yeah. Yeah, Brian likes to entertain me, so
Really, it was just for her. It wasn't for anybody else. Like she wouldn't stop laughing. Like she couldn't even like hold the camera straight. Like just like
we had this good amount of snow, and Brian's like, I'm gonna strip down naked and go out there and just dive bomb into it. Then you take a picture, and then I'm done. I was like, well, but will you make a snow angel? And will you do this? Will you do that?
and I'm like, it's freezing out here.
So
you must have like no stage fright to just post that on Instagram and not even second thought.
yeah, Brian has no fear. You might get like, I wouldn't say nervous, but anxious before a show because it's just like all the preparation and getting all the stuff set up and like that kind of overload of just the things we got to do. But you don't get nervous.
Yeah, and sometimes just depending on the venue, like I'll end up having to do sound for all the bands that are playing, including us, just because there's no sound person or and no one in any of the other bands knows how to run sound. Yeah. And so a lot of times it's like, well, even though I'm exerting energy trying to focus on the performance, I'm also getting to the club a couple hours earlier, making sure that everything is laid out and that everything's ready and that there's a sound check and that things sound good.
As a sound engineer, have you ever been annoyed with an audio engineer who's just not cutting it?
Oh yeah, but you know what? You got to grin and bear it because you have to be their best friends. Whether you like them or not, they could destroy you. On stage.
Gotta be kill them with kindness.
I gotta say, we're pretty lucky. I mean, there's only been a couple times where it's been maybe a sound person that.
They're just like phoning it in or something.
Or just
yeah.
And because they would get irritated with us because of our setup being different. Like, you have vocal effects. Oh no, like to have a tissy fit about dealing with an effects pedal of vocals. And I'm like, well, Brian's a sound person. He doesn't seem to give a crap. But certain people just get stuck in their ways.
Because they have to adapt from a 1/4 inch to an XLR. They're going crazy.
Real weird.
Yeah. Some people could be pretty stubborn and even want to use their own mics because they know where the EQ's set and they know what board they're working with, whereas opposed to a different microphone that might have a higher impedance, then the signal might change, the EQ might be a little bit different, and where they're used to doing EQ or compression or whatever, things might change a little bit, and so it's like it's making them work basically.
I gotta say,
but the golden trick is preparing a joint beforehand and giving it to the sound engineer before you play. Yeah, is just give them a joint. In
Portland, that works,
or at least offering it. Anywhere else you can't do that, of course, because it's illegal. Yeah, but here in Portland, Washington, and California, you can totally give the sound guy or girl a joint.
Well, and you can tell the sound people that love what they do too, because it has to be a little bit of a labor of love, because I'm sure they're not finding it.
It doesn't pay that.
It doesn't pay that great, and you're dealing with a bunch of douchey bands because not all bands are really nice and kind either. I mean, I'm sure they deal with a lot of crap.
Thick skin.
So, I mean, I always am compassionate in that way of like, even if you get a little attitude at first, as long as you're kind to each other, they'll soften out. And shout out to some of the nicest sound people in Portland, like Nicholas Matta.
Yeah, Nicholas Matta, who also books at the Bit House Saloon.
Yeah,
and runs the sound there. He's probably one of our favorites, and just an all around awesome guy, and has his own project called Hawk 78 as well. That's really awesome.
When you guys play shows, do you have a set list? Do you like to change it up every time, like Fish? Do you like to jam and improvise?
Not a lot of jamming going on because of our, we're have backtracks, we kind of like
structured set.
Yeah.
That's more of a thing. Like if we were to have a guest drummer and spend a little bit of time, like we've done that, like at our at our studio before where we've had guests come over to work on a set to play along with the backing tracks, which is kind of fun because it marries the best of both worlds, the live percussion, as well as the electronic sounding backing tracks. And so it's always a fun treat to have that.
Do you like to throw in like a random song for, if you're playing a back-to-back, maybe you want a fan to come back to that show? Do you like to like just throw in a random song?
Well, we play different sets all the time.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, we always change the set around, like, because I kind of get nerdy on wanting to curate like a great set, but it's always has to change. It's like, oh, well, that was cool, but let's try this. And that was cool.
Interesting from our perspective to not play over. I don't know how Guns N' Roses does that, where they just play the same set every time.
I know friends that do that. I'm like, oh, it's weird. I just went to your show and you're playing the exact same order and everything.
Well, I mean,
it's interesting.
I guess if you're going on tour, a lot of bands will do that kind of stuff. They'll play the exact same set because
they don't want to screw up.
Because, well, part of it is it's like it's putting on. Look at it this way: if you were an actor doing scenes from a play, if you did a different scene out of order, you could be completely thrown off, right? But I mean, with music, it's a little bit different, of course. I mean, that's just one example. But for superstars like Guns N' Roses, that have been around for years, they could get away with that, because people aren't going to care. They love their songs. They have all the hits. They know it. Right. They know all the words and everything. And I mean, I think playing the same set is kind of lame, to be quite honest, but for some people it's helpful,
Well, I think it's always been interesting to me because when you're a famous act, you're expected that people want to hear all your old songs. They don't want to hear new songs. But then when you're up and coming or just building yourself, they want to hear new songs and not. So it's just such a weird way that it morphs, right? Because we'll be like, oh yeah, when's a new song come? Like, oh yeah. But I think people that are your fans do want to hear the ones they can sing along to, for sure.
I can agree with that ideology. Sometimes I just want the deep cuts. Like I want Locomotive by Guns N' Roses. They're never going to play that. And you don't expect them to. So that's the thing. So you guys have some upcoming shows. Why don't you go ahead and plug those before we close out the show?
Oh, yeah, we have, where are we playing next? At the Hawthorne Hideaway?
Hawthorne Hideaway, March 9th. Yes.
And we've got Brown Herb. We're not talking about drugs. We're talking about a band that we played with.
There'll be Green Herb there, but Brown Herb is playing.
And they're really awesome and really great people, too. So they're going to open up the show, and then we're playing next, and then we're playing with a band that we've been connected with online, and we've been at some of the same shows together, and they're pretty awesome. But we haven't had a chance to have the pleasure of playing live with them, and they're called Riot AF.
Okay.
And the AF, you can imagine
whatever
what
your
that
heart
means.
desires.
Yeah.
And then the next one I think is March. It's 22nd, I believe. I keep saying 23rd, but I think it's March 22nd. I should double check. With a touring band
at the Lombard Pub.
The Lombard Pub with Blurred Out.
Blurred Out, and they're from...
I think they're from Oakland, but I might be wrong. Yeah. And who else is playing with us there?
Keeper
oh, yeah.
is playing with us.
That'll be a killer show too. And that's all we have scheduled until we hit the road for tour,
So that's another one of those venues where I have to do the sound.
Okay.
So we're actually playing first to make it easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
So we just set up
our stuff, get a good sound check, and...
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and contact Mississippi Pizza
Sweet.
to see if we could play a show together.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
Thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you.
Pizza party.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Ask questions, they all lie. What's your secret? Your alibi. We want answers, not distractions. No more coping. sat down and we drank wine, gazing deeper, 'cause we read each other's mind. For too long we fell into a spell. We lost focus. Yeah, we lost yourself. Get out of the bed. No more secrets now. Get out of the bed. Don't